situation where we'd built an original relationship with See Us Rise, the charity in Florida, Come and Sing Company had. And we had Mike, was so generous, Mike Kingsford, and put forward some funds for us to make a choral arrangement of the song Change by Dane Myers.
We were working with a musician named Dane Myers, who during COVID had put together this really fantastic song called Change. And Dane is a fantastic guy. He's really kind of dead center of the type of musician that we were looking for at CS Rise. And he had this song that during COVID, when nobody could get together, he sent around to people all over the internet to join in on the chorus.
Here we are before the flood, calling out to everyone. Take back what we know is ours. This is our future. This is our future. Tomorrow will be too late to try to fix the mess we made, so every child can feel safe about the future. This is our future.
He lives off grid. Composes, writes off grid, and goes to things like COP22, COP23, COP24, and really kind of uses music as a tool to kind of promote the cause of climate change, and that's what CS Rise, the charity, is all about. So it's all using music and art as a kind of tool of protest.
When he finished it, he sent it to us and we put it on our website, and one of our partners, Paula in England, saw it, and I believe she introduced it to somebody she knew at the Come and Sing Company, who in turn really liked it and had the idea of turning it into a choral piece and having it sung across the ocean, Boston, Massachusetts to Boston, England.
CS Rise had reached out to me and asked if we could use my song for a project where originally it was just going to be a choir in Boston in America, and then in Boston in the UK, and they were going to do this Boston to Boston children's choir project. And I said, yeah, sure, go ahead and use it. And I really didn't know too much else about it, and then they asked me if I could do it in a different key, and I said sure. So I am glad for my song to be able to be used to inspire and spread the word about what's happening with the climate.
When we came across Ellie, it was just very obvious that she was the right person to get behind this idea and actually make it happen. It was exactly what she'd been doing in terms of going into schools, educating children about various topics, but she's a singer, she's a musician herself, and this is what she does.
Oh my God, what have we done? Kind of situation. And then I got in touch with you beautiful people, Scruffy Bear Media. So I thought, who else would I like to develop this project with further than you two lovely people? And Ollie Weeks, our arranger.
I'm Oliver Weeks. I'm here in the capacity of mostly a choral arranger, but I've also been doing some of the tracking and possibly some mixing later on. I was also involved in it last year when we did, probably what the majority of the project was for me. I was transcribing the song, working out a good arrangement, working with Dane a little bit on the backing track, that kind of thing. I've worked with Ellie and Tom from Come and Sing Company before. First project we did about 5 years ago, big choral gig in Norfolk. And so gradually we've just sort of worked more and more together. Came through that really.
Service, CS Rise, Boston Children's Chorus. And we were thinking at first, it's not that big a project. They were saying in Boston, we'll just have the training choirs doing it, And now, 6 months later, the entire children's chorus is doing it, and 2 schools in Boston, USA. So this thing is got a life of its own. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from to where we are now, walking at Gibraltar Point in Skegness after a day of workshops yesterday.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, stop! Ooh, love it. Next side. Good posture. Pop your shoulder with part knees, nice soft, bend knees, make it move. Or shoulder back down, so quick. Lift from the nose, spin from the top of the head. Right, here we go, you ready? Okay, so remember, we're not going full throttle.
Well, this project was really spot on, sort of in the DNA of CS Rise, right? It involves children, it's education. It's really giving young students a voice to be able to express how they feel about climate and what's happening to their environment.
Because music and art is kind of one of those universal languages, isn't it? It's like something everyone can understand, something everyone can get involved with, from kind of 2 to 100. So we did that, and then I thought, hang on a minute, we need to link something together here. So there's something cooking, and my brain kind of was thinking, Lincolnshire coasts, Boston. And we'd already made contact with Boston Children's Chorus as well regarding the possibility of another project.
Boston Children's Chorus was founded over 20 years ago by Hubie Jones over 2 principles: social impact and high-level music education and artistry. That, my friends, is why we had to be a part of Sing to Change Boston to Boston project, Change. Because here we are before the floods, calling out to everyone, this is our future. And beyond our future, this is our kids' future, this is our children's future, this is our students' future.
Well, first of all, it was a lot of validation for the fact that we'd put together the right package.
Yeah.
You know, we'd put together all the resources, we'd put together all of the extracurricular supporting resources, the arrangement was working and was right. So it was kind of like all that prep and all that work to make this an easy, a project to be able to embrace easily and understand what it was all about. That was a real kind of moment, real moment. And then when they started singing it and getting involved in it, and like, oh man, at the first school, I was like...
Well, that Darren and I both were like, goosebumps.
It was magic.
Gosh.
It's really magic.
The song to me is like an expression of sort of the focused anger and some very clear statements about how things are right now.
Here we are before the flood, calling out to everyone. Take back what we know is ours. This is our future. This is our future. Tomorrow will be too late to try and fix the mess we made, so every child can feel safe about the future. This is our future.
I just like this scene of like sort of us looking out on the future and where we're at today, and sort of grounding the rest of the song in that the idea, like really all that we're fighting for is for this really reasonable thing of kids being able to feel safe about the future.
It's an issue that isn't just happening here. I've grown up through the sort of the Tyndall Centre for Climate Change Research, so I've always had an interest in that challenge of understanding long-term change.
Yeah.
And the knowledge that resisting change is essentially locking in trouble for the future. So trying to hold back change is a fallacy, really. If we don't accept that we need to prepare and adapt and think wisely about future generations and the kind of world that they'll be living in, then actually we're creating a legacy of cost for later. So I think for me it's about making that investment now in making sensible decisions, and that can never be future-proof, but to some extent to try and kind of prepare the ground so that we don't kind of knowingly create a problem for later.
Yeah, and that's really interesting actually, because we've been into some of the primary schools that are taking part in Sing to Change in the last couple of weeks, and there was one girl that we spoke to this week at Curtin Primary School who she just had a completely different take on the idea. The song's called Change, and she'd written a little poem, and it was change is good. We need to embrace change. It was that sort of ideology of nothing good can continue to happen without change. And it just, hearing you say all of that is really interesting, that idea like we're talking about a song called Change. It's all about trying to make changes to make a difference for the future and how we've got to act now to future-proof, as we say.
Yeah.
And it's just actually links really nicely into what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky to be seconded to North Norfolk District Council to support some of the work that they've been developing around preparing for change here on the coast. And so together we're doing a project called Coastwise, which is funded by DEFRA and the Environment Agency, because it's becoming increasingly part of policy to understand more about resilience and adaptation to change, to coastal change and flood risk, and actually how to deliver on that.
I want to be the change that I want to see.
There was one kid yesterday, a little girl at the first school, and she said this thing, and I was like, that was one of those moments that you kind of go, gee, that was just brilliant. She said, if everyone threw a bottle away onto a beach, just everybody, there'd be bottles everywhere. You know, we wouldn't have a beach anymore.
If you say it's not that big a deal, if one person does it, if everybody puts one piece of plastic on the beach, then there would be no sand or water there, because it would all be plastic. So every tiny thing, if everyone did something, it would make a massive impact.
Exactly.
And then you said, the opposite of that is, if everyone takes a bottle off the beach, imagine what of a change it would make. And that's really, I mean, that's really cool. And the way that they were talking with us and discussing it all was amazing.
Take back what we know is ours.
Getting as many people involved in this as we can.
Yeah.
Should we let these guys in now? Sorry.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, let's let them in. Shall I admit all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. Good luck, everyone. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Here they come.
Lots of people.
Here we go. This is brilliant.
Wow.
Wonderful. Oh, that's so great. Right, I can see that we have been joined by a number of people, which is wonderful. I'm just going to change my view so I can see everybody. There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you've all had a reasonable day. I'm going to pass over to Andrew to do a brief introduction, and then we're going to carry on going. I'm just going to keep admitting people.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ellie. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrew Hurd. I'm the Partnership Manager. I think most of you probably know me, the Partnership Manager for South Holland and Boston, get my teeth in, District of Lincolnshire. And this is a really exciting project that Ellie has put together with loads of different people. So I think Ellie's been speaking to everybody. Give us just a wave there, Ellie. And she's going to be leading us through all the information you need to know.
It's really validating to know that it's as good, that it's been accepted, and it's the right song. It's the right song.
Definitely. And I think yesterday as well, you know, that enthusiasm from the kids about being able to share this as well, because when we kept talking about the music video and it launching on World Water Day, that, you know, the questions we kept getting were,
oh my word,
where are we going to be able to find it? Are we going to be able to show everybody?
And
that,
the pride that they seem to be taking it in already. And I think that's because we were really careful, the three of us, to hand it over to them, to make sure that they knew that it wasn't about us. We were just facilitators. It was about them and their voice. And I think being able to do that with young people, when we live in a society where there's so many constraints and so little access, especially in places like this where we are now, access to the arts, access to music, access to high quality filming, production. I mean, they've never seen anything like this before. They would have never seen a gimbal. They would have never seen...
The first thing that one of the kids said, we're going to be famous!
Is it going on Instagram? But yeah, it's giving these kids different and new experiences. And like talking to Sally yesterday, we had that conversation with Sally, and she was like, this is amazing. Sally's the head of like that school that we were in, and then she is assistant or exec, I can't remember what it was, but she's high up in management in the three other schools in the area. She was like, the kids just don't get access to it. The kids just, it's the first thing to go when it's funding cuts. Right, music, arts, see you later. And it's just amazing to see how it can bring them totally to life.
Yeah.
And I think, again, we did the right thing when it came to giving them the ownership and saying to them, whatever you want to give us, we want to see, you know, because then that gives them validation as well, doesn't it? You know, what you've got to give us and what you've got to show us is really important, and we care.
All around.
Just try to drive home that everything that we're fighting for is something that all of us are fighting for together. And there's something, you know, like obviously really overwhelmingly hard about the future that we're headed towards. But it's truly one thing that unites all the humans and really all life on this planet is fighting to try to keep it livable.
Are we anticipating that the choirs will be ready to do the final performances? That will be the big thing, obviously, because then that will give us a timeline of what we're working towards.
Fantastic. One of the choirs are in the middle of getting ready for MLK. We have a big MLK performance that is our flagship performance in 17 Hall. And so that's not going to be until mid-January. And so if it could be after that, that'd be great.
Darren and Nicky, when do you feel that you need the submission by for the latest for us to get it all together? I know we've got a UK submission date, haven't we? Which is kind of, I believe, like first week in February or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't got my diary with me right this moment.
I think we said sort of if earlier in February was possible, that would be brilliant.
Yeah.
But sort of pushing things would be sort of mid-February.
Yeah.
Latest.
Well, if everyone's going to get together around if we can go for the end of January, then that means that we'll have the submission anyway. You know, by the first week of February anyway, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Ish. Because obviously, if they're not going to edit anything and they send it to you for editing, then basically we can just get it bashed over straight when it's done. And go from there.
Blue sky above us all.
The blue sky above us all is growing darker as we stall. A hard rain is gonna fall is definitely a reference to A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall by Bob Dylan, which is a sort of ominous, foreboding, but really intricate and beautifully written song. So just like a little nod to that idea that he explored, that like we can sort of see these challenges coming and that like we should be warned about them and take appropriate action now.
Blue sky above us all is growing darker as we stall. Hard rain's gonna fall. This is our future. This is our future.
You know, maybe something that we as adults do is we look immediately at what are the big, huge changes that we can make. We've got to do something about this. How do we do it? And we've got to, you know, make legislative changes within the country and within our councils. We've got to go in big and strong and use our voices. Yeah. And then the difference of that one small thing, what a huge impact that could actually have, you know. Just take one bottle away. And the kids in the second school talking about, well, you know, we can go down, they used a term for it. I had no idea what they were talking about, but it must be something they talk about in schools. But essentially, you know, a litter picking. There were so many of them who raised that point as well. It wasn't just one. So many of them said, well, I can go to my local beach and I can do this. And even the simple point that girl made as well, I think her name was Sienna, and she said, well, I could just put a rubbish bag on the gate of my house, so that if somebody's walking past,
that was brilliant, wasn't it?
They can just put their rubbish in that bag.
That shows that they're thinking though about the wider community, in which I think with things like COVID and stuff like that, and our generation, you become very insular and you think about your own bubble and just protecting or looking after what's really, really close to you, because that's what is in your immediate vicinity and that immediate protection of your little unit. But I think what we're finding now is the kids, as they're getting through school more and kind of appreciating the community that they have more, because they didn't have it for so long. You know, some of these kids were born during born just before COVID happened, so they weren't even in school. They wouldn't have they would have missed out on so much socialisation when they're little. They seem to embrace that sense of community a bit more. And they've got this view of it being, maybe I can have an impact, and maybe I can have a voice, and what I have to say is really important.
I drew the consequence of what will happen if we don't start cleaning and taking care of the world properly. Change the world to make it a better space. Love for flowers and love for nature. Recycle rubbish, it's bad for the animals. You should make the world better for the future. Future and nature rhymes, and I really loved singing the song. I thought change is good, and I do like change because I got a baby brother yesterday, and that changed. He was just born yesterday. And that changed how I felt. Yeah. So I thought to write this poem. Something has to change. Not everything can be the same. So you have to go and say, change is good, change is nice, change is what we want.
Time is up. Rising up, let your voice be heard.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Important that you use your craft of singing and your voice in general to share and express that you care about this issue, because there are a lot of people that feel like they're dealing with it alone. We don't have a whole lot of culture, a whole lot of media, a whole lot of movies, a whole lot of stuff to show people who care about this issue that they're not. There's lots of grief and anxiety and like feelings that feel worse when you think that you're the only one experiencing this concern or this these emotions around this topic. So if you can hear other people who are singing about it because they're also experiencing those things, it can go a long way to helping people grieve and go through the process of dealing with where we're at.
One of the things that I've become increasingly concerned with is children's mental health. And there's been, at least here in America, and I believe everywhere, a real spike in adolescent suicides and depression. And I believe, the best definition of depression that I've ever heard was learned helplessness. And when you think about children being educated, unavoidably really, on climate change and the other environmental threats, and yet still living in schools and environments where it's not being taken seriously and it's not being addressed, it's really, it would be extraordinary to think that they wouldn't be very confused and have strong emotional reactions.
And the only hope we know is if we do this together.
You don't do this for, as a hobby. When you're already busy, you do it because you actually think it's the right thing to do. But there was a learning curve as well. I don't think any of us had done a project of this scale. And and Ellie had her work cut out as well, because she was creating information for the curriculum and going around 13 or 14 schools in Lincolnshire. And on the other side of the Atlantic, 4 or 5 schools were being trained to sing the piece in the Boston area.
Very good. You're gonna do four here, four here, four here, four here. 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. What is cool about this project is that it gets to build resources for the future. One of those resources, making it accessible for all. And one of our students, Galilea, is already using it to memorize the entire ASL video. Then you did something special. The students connect to the piece. And I can see how in future, so many schools, so many students would be able to make the change now because their demands can be heard through their voice.
I want a world that's green.
And I think that is the whole thing. The UK children were brilliant. The USA children were brilliant. But bringing them together made it exceptionally special. And to think that we've got it's a really multi-layered project because you've got the climate change link as well. Boston, UK was flooded horrifically just a few years ago, and continues to suffer from the flooding and the rising waters there. And Boston, USA had a similar experience. So it was not just the music that was binding the children together, or the name, lovely Boston to Boston, we were very proud of that, I think. But they also had experienced the devastating impact of climate change.
The Trust is, its core purpose is access to nature and heritage and nature conservation per se. We're doing both here, that's what's fantastic about it.
Definitely.
Somebody once said to me when I was describing our plans for here, why are you going to create all this fantastic habitat and then ruin it by allowing people in? And I said, because that's what the National Trust does. We're just as much about people as we are about nature, and this is a fantastic opportunity to bring the two together. I mean, we do it elsewhere. We're good at it, so we know we're going to do a good job here. And as you were suggesting, it's a great opportunity to talk to people about the messaging about climate change and resilience and adapting to it as we go along, rather than trying to stop it. I mean, we're failing to stop it because we all still keep driving around in our cars, don't we? As a nation, we spend vast amounts of money trying to manage the impact of the measures we've put in place, rather than actually trying to stop it happening in the first place.
Wow.
It's just a human nature thing. It's the old, we should be treating the causes rather than the symptoms.
So it's also learning about the change and being well informed and kind of to some extent literate about the processes themselves is one thing, but then talking honestly about what's happening and how to start thinking more, I suppose, proactively.
Yeah, absolutely.
About what the change means rather than resisting, because ultimately this won't stop, and we've realised there aren't defences here because we know that if we defend our entire coast, we won't have a beach anymore because there won't be any material going into the sediment into the system to create the beaches. The beaches will drop, they will make the defences more and more vulnerable, and eventually those defences will collapse.
We'd worked on a really lovely project with Ellie at Gumby Hall around Vaughan Williams, and we were quite keen to have the opportunity to work with them again and come and sing. But the opportunity hadn't really arisen, so when she got in touch it just seemed the perfect sort of match to Sandylands, talk about climate change and coastal erosion, because things that we're talking about as part of the project. So we've already started engaging with the community as part of the Sandylands project. So we've got a team of our partnerships and programming officer and volunteering and community officers that have been going out into the local community to talk to people about the project, about what we're doing, about our hopes and aspirations, talking about what species we might expect to see here, how they can get involved. So we've been taking Sandylands almost in a box out to the community, sort of looking at bird boxes and creating homes for wildlife. Just getting children really excited about what we're doing and visiting the coast, getting that message out about what we would like to do. And yeah, just talking about the opportunities here really, rather looking at it from a negative point of view, sort of really focusing on those positives and what we can do to change all those small changes that will make a big change if everybody makes a small change.
We had a ball learning the song. It was a wonderful opportunity to see how we can make a positive change from across the world. We can help, you can help, but the best thing is that we can do it together. And the positive thing that we also love is the fact that we are responsible now. Everybody point and say now. We are responsible now, so we can make that change. So that's what we learned. What's your name?
Brandon. It's someone named Brandon in your class.
Is there a Brandon in this class? There might be a Brandon in this class, I don't know. There's no Brandon here at the moment, my lovely. How old are you?
9.
You're 9. Hands up who's 9 here. Look at that.
Learn the song like all of the others.
Yeah, did you enjoy it?
I feel good.
Yeah?
Like the change that I came from another country.
That's so cool. Excellent. Right then. Well, I think what we should do is get nice and settled down and ready for when we actually start playing this fantastic video. So,
Sounds good.
we will speak to you afterwards, Robert, okay? Bye, Robert. Okay, see you then.
What I loved about our friends over at the pond when we had the opportunity, hey Ellie, cool beans, when we had the opportunity to actually see our new friends, both the students and the adults, that we all can come together and make change.
Absolutely delighted to get the invitation because Boston MA is our daughter city, so we have quite a lot of connection, and to get the children of the two communities connecting like this is wonderful, and they're clearly very excited about it, and you know I was amazed how involved they were, so thank you very much for the invitation for the event.
I think it just brings back that we are all one world, and we may be another side of the Atlantic from Boston over there, but we've got the same issues, and of course we impact upon each other, don't we?
It was amazing because I've never seen anyone in the USA before, and and it seems really exciting because all of the schools have came around together, and it seems really impressive.
My favourite part was learning the song because it had a really catchy tune, and it might have also got people like to change the world and make it better.
Amazing. It's just, I've always like dreamed of doing things like this, but most schools I've been to, I've never done it, so.
I felt excited and really like energetic because we're trying to like get our voices out to the world to change it. The favourite part of the song is where it goes like, I want the world that's green, I want a world that's clean. And that it like gives out the message a lot.
What was that like for you?
Oh, it was an amazing experience. You know, just 150 children was really quite emotional. But then to remember, though, over 1,000 children in this country, 600 people just from this school taking part, and it's such a powerful story, isn't it? And the song was amazing.
The energy was just phenomenal. I mean, cheering this side, cheering the other side of the Atlantic, working together and all for a common cause. The song is just amazing. It's catchy. I wake up every morning singing it. I will be singing it for the rest of the week. And to get Dane at the beginning actually talking about what the song meant to him and how the children could use it, so that for their voice was just really, really fitting. So thank you so much everyone who's been involved, because it was just phenomenal.
It's wonderful. I mean, here we have a song that Dane wrote that was getting, some play. It's a great song, but to suddenly have it being sung by 1,000 kids in England, 500 kids up in Boston, more kids in a choir in Florida, and hopefully many more to come, is, that's a pretty big expansion, and it's in a demographic that's just fabulous. I think that in this project we really rang the bell in terms of giving kids a voice on climate change.
It's not just about now. They can save this place. And things and projects like this will allow them to do that. So we will move out the way. So all around the world, all around the world, they can make positive change. And the best part is we are better together.
This project has got bigger and bigger and bigger as we've gone along, hasn't it? I mean,
true.
we've got, okay, so it's a project, whoa. And we've engaged so many more people. We will engage so many more people than I ever imagined. I mean, I'm letting it take us now, if you know what I mean. I'm letting it dictate its path, which is fabulous. There's all sorts of, we've all bought into it so much. Like, I'm so chuffed that you and Darren are on board. I cannot tell you, it's making my just project dreams come true, because you guys believe in it so much as well. And you guys have got like ideas cooking, I know. And like, after we've released the music video, I don't think we're going to stop there by any chance.
So every child can feel safe about the future.
I think any time that a large group of people raises their voice about something, it has so much more impact than if it's just one person doing it together. Especially with young people. I think if young people write letters to their representatives, or they call their representatives and they tell them how they're feeling about something, that can be an incredibly impactful instrument for change. And so seeing all these young people come together and sing this song, I think is also like that. It just helps to focus all of our voices into a message that can punch through and be heard more clearly.
In some ways, climate change is bringing us all closer in terms of having the same issue to deal with. Boston, Massachusetts was largely built on a swampy area, and so sea level rise there is a serious problem. I'm less familiar with Boston in the UK, but I understand that they also have water issues. There's a major issue going on now with basically a river in the Atlantic. The Gulf Stream is part of it that seems to be slowing down. And the last time that happened, there was an ice age in Europe because it's not bringing enough heat from the tropics up into the northern areas. And that's obviously going to affect everybody. Now you're talking about major changes to the climate of the planet.
I think seeing all of the performance videos, artworks, and the engagement of all of you who are working on this, who are singing this. I hope that this song and the songwriting can be a voice for you. I hope that this is something that's on your heart, that you care about, and that the song gives you a way to articulate it and to perform something that speaks to you, and maybe it helps you express what's inside of you to the people around you, to your parents, to your aunts and uncles, to your friends, your community. So that's really my hope here. I think just my hope is that you feel empowered by it, that you feel part of something, that we're all doing this together. So I'm thrilled to have you be a part of it.
It's definitely an anthem, isn't it? It's not, you are motivated to want to do something. And Dane will be the first person to say, write to your local MP, or the equivalent of whatever it is in the state, and do something, or go to your school and demand, why aren't there solar panels at school? Why don't we have electric chargers? Why are people turning up and leaving their car engines running? We should be doing things differently to reduce our carbon footprint. And he believes that so passionately.
Let your voice be heard.
I want a world that's green.
I want to have air that I can breathe. I want a world that's green.
I want to be the change that I want to see.
I want a world that's green.